The Experience Pros Radio Show, home of the original Fan Braggin' Fridays. Take just 20 seconds to become a business revolutionary by sharing a fan bragging story of great customer service by using the hashtag FanBrag or calling the Fan Braggin' hotline at 855-FAN-BRAG, FANBRAG. Now back to Angel and Eric, the Experience Pros.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Experience Pros Radio Show. Thank you for tuning in. This is the home of positive business talk. Sometimes we need a little crowbar.
A crowbar? Mm-hmm. What are you, breaking into somebody's car?
Nope. Just trying to motivate your team.
With a crowbar?
Right.
Have you ever wanted to come yielding a crowbar to work?
Not going to answer that on the grounds that it may implement or incriminate me. But no, what you want to do is you want to keep people motivated, right? You want to fire your team up. Don't make the kind of mistakes that drain the energy from the members of your team, as I know I have done on occasion. Instead, get them jazzed, get them excited about working with you and for you.
Okay, get them jazzed.
Yeah.
Get them jazzed. Okay, so how do we get them jazzed?
Number one, foster collaboration within the team. According to weekdone.com, 39% of employees don't feel that their input is even appreciated. Encourage the members of your team to fully participate by inviting their input and suggestions on how to do things better. Ask questions and then listen to their answers, and whenever possible, implement their solutions. You know, it is a true statement. If somebody has to say over and over and over again, I got a suggestion, or I got an idea, or here's the thing, why don't you go look at this? And no one ever does, it won't be long before they're looking for other employment.
Well, if you're asking, I mean, there's a couple things at play here. One, that you're asking for input. And I think a lot of times we don't ask for input. And so because we're not asking for input, we're not receiving input. They don't feel as if their input has value.
Right.
Second, if we do ask for input, but we never implement the input, then I think that's almost worse than scenario A.
Sure.
Of you don't feel like you want it, but you actually asked me for it, and then
I gave it to you, and then you didn't give it.
Yeah, I think that is probably the most deflating feeling of all, because at least before I knew you didn't want it, but I didn't invest anything in it. Now I'm invested. You've asked for my investment,
right,
and squandered it.
All right. The next one, avoid useless meetings.
Useless meetings. According to Eric, they're all useless.
No, not all of them. Just the ones I attend.
Is it because of your attendance?
I'm joking. Of course it is. It's always been about me. Useless meetings can be an incredible waste of time. The average professional tends to waste 3.5 hours in unproductive meetings each and every week. Create an agenda for your meeting, distribute it in advance, invite only the people who really need to attend, and start the meeting on time. End it as quickly as you possibly can. That's the thought behind making yourself
end it as quickly as possible.
Yes.
Right?
Right. Just get her done.
Get in, get out. Now, but see, I mean, if we're going to take the time, I think this is one of those things that we feel like if we're going to take the time to call a meeting, we're all going to reschedule our attendance, other activities in order to be at that meeting, that it better last a while. I don't know. I think subconsciously that as long as we're here, let's see all the things we can hash out and see how long we can actually have this take.
As long as it's on the agenda. If you've accomplished everything on the agenda, no one ever complained about being let out of a meeting early. Everyone always complains the minute it goes over.
That's true.
The time.
That's true. But if it's too short, won't they question, did we even need to meet at all? Couldn't we have just tacked this on to next month's meeting or next week's meeting?
I don't know that we're solving for making it too short. I think we're just solving for having an agenda and then getting it done as equitable.
An agenda.
Yes.
An agenda is probably the best place to start.
It's a really great place
to start. If we're going to meet, why?
Right.
What are we going to talk about once we get there? But that means that somebody had to plan ahead, that somebody, has put some thought into it. And, and I think in many times, even if they pre-send out the agenda to say, this is what we're talking about so that you could come prepared, right? Which is a great form of communication and a great resource. but then you get there and realize nobody even read it and nobody is prepared. I don't know. It's this conundrum, Eric, of how much communication is required, but communication has to be two-way.
It absolutely does. Absolutely. And for the record, I'm not 100% against meetings.
Not 100%.
I'm just 100% against unproductive meetings.
Okay. All right. And I think that everybody is against an unproductive meeting.
But we don't have articles written about nor radio segments talked about these things unless those still exist. Those unproductive meetings.
They are still going.
So
sometimes
we're trying
we
to
just
get better at it.
Sometimes this is what we've always done.
Sure.
So we keep doing it. We
Absolutely.
keep meeting. I was involved with a business group who would meet together once a week, and they really weren't accomplishing anything, but nobody wanted to stop meeting. It was so funny. So even though we can say that we all want to have productive meetings,
Right.
There's something.
What we really want is just to hold hands and sing Kumbaya.
I think for some reason there has to be, because it's still going on, that there's just some comfort and familiarity that says, I'm going to see you guys and we're going to hang out. And even though it's not productive, I think there just has to be. I mean, I haven't thought about this before this conversation, but if people are still meeting and it's unproductive and they're continuing to meet and it's unproductive, then there has to be something more than the agenda is why they're there. And I think that there just might be, they want eyeball time
There's
or belly
a social
time.
value.
Yeah.
That's entirely possible, which is probably why I like meetings, because there's a social element to
right?
it.
I don't care that we didn't accomplish, we didn't move the needle, we didn't come up with our next, innovative idea, but we all got to see each other and connect. And
then we should have a different word for it. That should be parties.
But we won't come. No, it has to say meeting, because if I'm going to put it on my calendar during the workday, it can't be a party. We won't stay around for, the 5:30 to 6 o'clock meet and greet when it's just cocktails, because that seems optional.
Not only do your meetings need to have an agenda, but you need to set goals. And 63% of employees reported that they wasted time at work because they weren't aware of what work was a priority and what wasn't.
Yes, I can see that, when we have all these things to do and, which really needs, what should I be focusing on? I remember, you and I were having a conversation. I would say to you, I want you to do something, and you would stop what you were doing to do the next thing. But no. Just put it next on the list. Like, you can finish what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, he had like 8 things all unfinished. He's like, well, Angel, you kept giving me new things. Okay. Note to self. I have to remember to say, you can finish what you were working on before you start on this.
Working with me is impossible. All right. Don't micromanage. No one likes a boss who's constantly looking over the shoulder. I'm not saying anything. Oh, jeez. There's not about you. Holy cow. I am going step by step through an article on the internet.
Who wrote this?
Peter Economy, my favorite. Yeah. Pete and
isn't that your alias?
No, we don't often. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Richard. All right. Pay people what they're worth. Right. That goes without saying. We're talking about how to motivate your team. Pay them what they're worth. If they're worth more than minimum wage, crank it up.
I remember a story, and I only remember it vaguely, but somebody was working someplace, company A.
Yep.
Got offered a job at company B.
Yep.
At like twice the salary.
Right.
I mean, it was significant.
Yep.
Went back to company A where he was used to working, right? And familiar, and at least gave them the option of, hey, by the way, right? They were willing to. And he decided, you know what? I'm not going to stay here, because if all that time
you were willing to,
but you didn't, he went over to company B.
Yeah.
All right. Because now he found out that they knew what he was worth, and they were willing to match it. But it is
a dangerous game.
I know.
Yeah.
On both sides, on all sides, really.
And here's the final thing that I want to throw out for keeping your team motivated. Don't punish failure. Everybody makes mistakes. It's part of being human. The key is to learn from those mistakes. We've had a consistent theme. Even Sally Work came on earlier in the program and said, you don't punish failure. You embrace failure and move on.
Yes. Mistakes and failure are the tuition we pay for the lessons we didn't learn in school.
There it is. All right, gang. We'll be back right after these messages. You're listening to Angel Tussey and Eric Raymer here on the Experience Pros Radio Network. For the archives of this broadcast and everything that we do, you can check out experiencepros.com. Click on the radio tab. Oh, here's one. Eric Hunsberger says, encourage your team members to use their initiative and allow members to use their personal strengths every day. Thank you, Eric.
The Experience Pros, revolutionizing the way people treat people in business.